Watch local teachers bring the classroom on air and online. This is Homework Hotline.
I'm Beth Baker, and I work at McKinleyville Middle School in McKinleyville.
And I'm Jody Himango. I also work at McKinleyville Middle School teaching 7th grade science.
Yep, and usually we do, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do a science day, and the math teacher tries to keep up. And then other times we do a math day, and the science teacher keeps up. And today's a science day. So tell me what we're doing, Ms. Himango.
So here's what we're going to do. Around the county, students are maybe potentially starting science fair projects. So here's an example of a project that would need to be slightly extended to come up with a science fair question. We need iron. And so it's added to cereal.
And
not all cereals.
It used to say iron fortified on the front as one of the little slogans.
Yeah, and I don't see that, but you can definitely check the nutrition facts. And so I have recently had a blood test and found out I was very low on iron. So I've started reading the nutrition facts.
Oh, yeah.
And what I've learned is that not all cereals and other foods, but not all cereals, because you could compare cereals, not all cereals have the same amount of iron added.
And will it say the word iron on it, or is there some other word that means iron?
It literally says iron.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Iron, 18 milligrams, 100% of your daily needs. Look at that.
Which is why I brought this box of cereal in particular, because I know it will create a lot of iron. But if you were doing this as a science fair project, you could test different types of cereal with different values. So daily values. So in the materials list,
so we can see your materials list.
In the materials list, so I suggest, we're not going to do that today in the interest of time. What I found out is that actually it's a pretty simple procedure, but it's a little bit messy and takes some time.
Okay.
So if I were to do this as a science fair experiment, I might ask a question about, are product labels accurate? And I would pick a cereal that had an iron content of under 25% of your daily value. And then I might pick one that's kind of mid-range, somewhere between 25 and 75, so you'd have to be at the grocery store reading. And then I try to pick one with an iron content of greater than 75% of your daily value. So we're gonna need a blender. And then I made a clear plastic funnel out of a bottle. So
that is very clever. I'm gonna do that at home.
Yeah, and I'm not a plastic bottle user, so this is dumb, but I actually had to buy water to get the plastic bottle. But the plastic bottle is nice because we're going to tape the magnet to it and you'll be able to see the iron inside the bottle.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so I used a box cutter, so if you're a kid and you're doing this, you might want some help from someone.
Let's see, I'm in the way. There we go. Okay.
You're going to use some distilled water. Distilled water has everything removed from it.
So it's just water.
It's just water. So you don't want to you don't want to use like tap water and then be testing the iron in your water, which there may be some. So distilled water, which you can buy at the grocery store or drugstores and probably the hardware store. You need a pretty heavy-duty magnet, so probably stronger than a fridge magnet. And this is one that is used for gates. So it's a magnetic gate latch.
Yeah.
So this one's pretty strong because it's intended to hold gates. Some duct tape to attach the magnet to our funnel, and then a large bowl, a measuring cup with a spout.
Oh yeah, to pour.
And I'm just realizing in my list I didn't put how much cereal you need and how much water. You need about 250 milliliters, which is approximately 1 cup. So I brought in a 1 cup measuring cup to use.
Okay, and then what?
All right.
Oh, and procedure.
And then we're ready to dive in to our procedure. So, and actually I brought in a little sample of the iron in here, which is potentially hard to see. There's not too much in there. But that's the amount you can see at the bottom of this container that I extracted from a half cup of this cereal.
Oh, that reminds me of places where you can go and pan for gold.
Yes.
And you get like this tiny trace of the element that you're looking for.
And they're like little iron filings. They look pretty cool once they're in the funnel. They stand straight up.
Oh, So anyone who's played with any of those magnet toys, my kids like the one that's got the face of the man, and it's inside of a little plastic cover. And then you can run the magnet around and the magnet filings make like a mustache or hair or whatever.
That's cool.
Like that's a really fun little toy.
Yeah. And magnets are pretty fun and a lot of good science applications. So we can start diving in.
Okay.
You're going to need a blender. And the blender is, we're going to make a cereal slurry, which is kind of hard to say.
Yes,
fast.
it does not
Cereal
sound very
slurry,
appetizing
cereal slurry.
either.
It's
So we're going to blend
smells good,
cereal and
though.
water together?
Yes.
Okay. Got
And
it.
we're going to do equal parts cereal to equal parts distilled water. We're going for 1 cup.
Equal by volume, then not by weight.
Right.
Okay.
And we're going to use 1 cup, which is about 250 milliliters. Probably most
Ish.
people have.
Pretty
yeah,
close.
pretty close.
Yeah.
Ish. So I will let you get started on that.
Okay, should I start with the cereal first?
That's what I did.
Okay, got it. Here we go. Can we talk a little bit about why human beings need iron? Is it for your blood?
It's for your, to help your red blood cells.
Ah, I like that sound.
So this doesn't look pretty, but it smells good
It does.
when you're blending up cereal.
I used to
It does not look
always come home
appetizing.
from school and have cereal as my snack because waiting for the toaster was like the longest 3 minutes in the world and I couldn't wait.
Cereal makes a great snack.
So cereal was always my favorite snack. Not cereal and water and not in the blender. Okay, so a cup. So equal parts by volume, water and cereal.
And you can always add, at some point we're going to add more water kind of as a wash
Okay.
on the slurry. Or if your slurry gets too thick, you can add more water
Okay.
to it. And there's our blender.
Alrighty.
You definitely want to use the lid, everyone.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've got it seated correctly. Is this your blender?
That is. It looks like it
Do you
went in
wanna-
now.
Okay, got it.
And make sure that's on nice and tight.
And then at home I always yell, it's gonna be loud.
It's going to be loud.
Oh, we have good. Let's see, do we want chop, crumb, blend, mix, or stir? I'm
You
gonna
know
start
what?
with chop.
You get crazy.
I'm gonna go with the chop button. Uh-oh. Oh.
And we're going for a pretty even mixture so that there's no big chunks. And you can see there's some big chunks. It might be advantageous to let it even sit in the water for a little while.
Uh-huh.
So that it gets
And
really
is the
saturated.
iron gonna go in the soupy, watery part or in the ground up cereal part? Where's the iron gonna be at?
Well, that's a good question.
Oh, I
Ms.
think
Baker.
I'm gonna guess it's in the cereal part.
Probably, because if you imagine iron in terms of density,
It's heavy, so
And
it'll
it-
sink.
right, it
Okay.
probably wouldn't be floating in the water. Okay, ready?
Give her a
Here
go.
we go. And we just are trying to get really small bits so that the iron can be separated out from the
Okay.
cereal.
Yeah.
And we can always reblend, we can re-pour.
Okay.
So
So
you're-
that part of the process is not super finicky.
No.
Okay.
So we cut off the lid already, so we've actually done step 2. And if you wanted to test multiple cereals at once for comparison, I would have multiple funnels and I'd probably label them with a Sharpie. And I would say this one has 100% of our daily value of iron. So I might put something like 100%. So
And
I
if
could
someone's doing
keep track.
science fair, is it good to take pictures as you go so you have reference photos?
It's great to take pictures.
Yeah.
This year, there's going to be we're going to submit digital slides because it probably won't be in person again. So
right.
having pictures that you can put in a slideshow, you
Yeah.
know, pictures worth 1,000 words. It'll explain what you did
Yeah.
and look cool.
Oh, I'm going to go this way so we can see. Okay, so we're at 1, the 250 mil, 2, cut off the bottom of a plastic bottle. That's to make a funnel.
Label the amount. We're
Yeah.
not going to do that because we're only doing 1 today.
Okay.
And then step 4 is to tape the magnet on the bottle, on the outside of the bottle, about halfway down using duct tape. And everyone loves to use duct tape.
I do. Yes, and you brought a really beautiful color of duct tape too. I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, so
Partly because I was very excited about the blue turquoise duct tape, and I realized it's not actually as good as other.
Oh yeah, fancy duct tape is made, and this is even called DUCK, duct tape. Okay, and now we're going to tape
It does
on
kind of help to have 2 pairs of hands for this.
Yeah.
Since you're taping to a round surface.
I'm going to go like this. There we go. Okay.
And notice, so this is a long skinny magnet, and notice I put it long skinny way down the bottle, because when we pour in the bottle, we're going to pour along this magnet edge.
Okay.
So, and maybe let's do another round of blending real quick.
Okay. To get it even more soupy?
Yep.
Here we go.
All right, that's looking pretty slurry-like.
Okay.
So then I had the lid on here. I don't know why, just for storage, I guess. And we're gonna pour the slurry into that big bowl over there.
So we're
and
basically
over the
pouring
magnet.
the liquid over the magnet.
Yes.
And the funnel contains all the slurry. Will we pour many times?
Great question. Let's look at our procedure.
Oh, I'm in the way again as usual.
So we are gonna pour, so we blended, we are carefully gonna pour the slurry into the measuring cup. Into this, you could, if you wanted. At some point, we might want to use this when we transfer to the bowl and back. I think the blender pours really well. It's got a pour spout. So for the first time, we'll pour from the blender.
Okay.
But Ms. Baker's going to pour the slurry, and I can hold this. This is also nice, where it's good to have a couple
And
hands.
I'm just going to try and get as much contact across the magnet as I
That's
can get. I'm just going to
perfect.
drizzle it. So really what I'm doing is thinking, you know what, it
Maybe
smells
I'll move that.
delicious. We
It smells
invented
good.
cereal milk, like almond milk.
Yeah, you just cut to the chase and put it in a glass.
Yeah.
And actually,
It
this would be
smells so
easily
good.
digestible. It doesn't look awesome.
It does not look awesome.
But it smells really good.
Yeah.
You're way neater pourer than I am. I made a big mess in my house when I did this.
I'm just really trying to get everything to touch the magnet that it possibly can. And I can see this stuff's really thick at the bottom of the blender.
Yeah, so if it gets kind of thick at the bottom, you can always put a little bit more distilled water into your blender. And to get the last little bits, if you want.
Oh, I see, yeah. I get it. And kind of swoosh it around.
Slosh it around.
Okay, still pouring. And then can I pour so hard that I accidentally rinse the iron off the magnet?
It didn't seem like it. And do you see iron forming on there already?
I don't know, but I'm not sure quite what I'm looking for, but I don't think
You'll be
I see it
looking
yet.
for a little black line of...
Oh, I do see a black line.
Yes.
Oh.
So we're already extracting iron.
Wow, so there's like a little tiny black stripe here, almost like little tiny faint railroad tracks.
Which is probably hard for the camera to pick up on because it's the magnet's right behind it. Okay. So what I did after this, because I wanted to extract as much iron as I could from my slurry. So, and you might have done an outstanding pour where every little bit of the slurry hit every bit of the magnet. But now what we can do is take the slurry that's in the bowl and put it in the measuring cup and then run it back through.
Oh yeah, okay. Or we could even pour it in the blender if we wanted
or
to.
the blender, either one.
And then there's quite a bit of cereal left in the funnel. Do we need to rinse that out? Or
We'll rinse. We can rinse at the end. So you would always use your distilled water.
Okay.
And so here's the rule when you're pouring things in science.
Oh, what's the rule?
Pour with confidence.
Oh, okay, here we go. Ready, go. Oh, and you brought a rubber spatula, huh?
And I did bring a rubber spatula for scraping.
Okay.
So waste not, want not.
Yep.
It's hard for me to waste food. I mean, in the name of science, I'll do a little bit of wasting, but
yeah,
it's hard for me to waste too much. Just because I know there are people in our community that are going hungry.
Okay, are we gonna pour again?
Yep, let's pour again.
Okay, here we go.
So I would recommend pouring, 3 or 4 times maybe.
And now that I know where it's going, I'm gonna try and get it to the left and right a little bit. Because now I have an idea of where it's actually catching. It's not down the middle, huh?
No, because if you were to look really closely at the magnet
Mm-hmm.
has basically 2, for lack of a better term, rails, and then an indentation in the middle.
Okay.
So I think the rails seem to be picking up on the iron.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So we want to get as much in contact with where the iron already stuck. What else sticks to magnets besides iron? Is it iron, nickel, and something. There's like 3 metals that will stick to a magnet, 3 magnetic metals. It's iron, nickel, and something weird like cobalt or something. I can't remember what.
When that measuring cup will stick.
Oh, will it?
So whatever that is, that might be vintage.
Yeah.
A vintage measuring cup.
Okay, let's see.
And again, if it gets thick, you can just add more water.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, just try and get it all. Okay, just try and get it all, because there's a tiny fragments of iron in there. We want to get them all. Should we put a little bit more water in there, do you think?
We definitely could. And you can always use your water to rinse your magnet as you go. So if
I'm excited to do that because I want to see what we have so far.
Okay, well, do you want to rinse it?
Yes,
Here's the
rinse.
distilled water. And
I
I
feel
brought
like we're
extra.
playing dentist. Now rinse. I just want to control it. Okay, let's see what we got so far. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's like dark little, I can actually see it. I don't know if the camera can pick it up too well.
Maybe if I go this way and we get it a little bit at an angle.
Oh, right there. Look, you can totally see it. Those are iron filings. That's amazing. That's a really good camera angle, too. It really shows it. Very cool. Well, that's pretty exciting.
Good thing I washed all the ink off my hands.
Yeah. Should we have one more go and see if we can get a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I was doing this at home, I mean, this is pretty clean. One thing you can do is kind of shake out. So once you rinse, I would actually set this down and let it dry. And let it dry for an hour or 2 to get all the water out of the funnel.
Okay, so it's easier to handle the iron filings when they're dry instead of wet?
Yeah, and they'll stick to fewer things. And if you were doing this for a science fair project, you could collect it in a little piece of plastic bag or something like that and fold it over on itself and tape it closed and take pictures of it that way. So
right.
If you wanted pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are definitely getting some.
Okay.
So we can
That's
run a
pretty
couple
darn
more.
cool. Yeah,
It's
let's
pretty
see if we can get more.
And again, I picked a cereal that has 100% of our daily value. So this cereal has a lot of iron in it.
And did we do a serving size? Is a cup a serving size?
That is a great question. 1 cup is a serving size.
Oh, so we did do a serving size. So if you wanted to get more, you could do 2 or 3 cups if you just wanted to get a lot of iron filings.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is a kind of neat way to think about it, because you can visualize how much iron your body needs each day.
Yes.
Calculated on I think these are based on males though.
Well, I think
the percent daily values.
all the nutrition information is based on 2,000 calories a day, which is kind of a lot. So a lot of smaller humans, such as myself. So I burn between 1,200 and 1,500 calories a day, I know.
Right.
So I don't need 2,000.
Depending on your size, you might need less.
Yep. All right, should we give it one more go?
Yeah, let's
I'm
do
going to
one
pour
more.
with confidence. Here we go.
Pour with confidence.
We're
That's
just going to go
the
again.
rule.
Okay, I
You're-
like that.
You're less likely to kind of dribble down the edges. And then we can actually talk too about how you might graph your results if you had multiple cereals.
Oh, right. In 8th grade, one of the math standards is bivariate graphing. So you need like 2 variables that you're graphing, an x and a y. So that's always a big deal in 8th grade math, like your height versus your wingspan, for example. So it's nice to know that if you have a good strong magnet, I'm not accidentally rinsing more iron shavings down into the bowl than are sticking to the magnet.
Right.
Like we're not losing ground by doing this.
And magnets aren't super expensive, and you can find them at the hardware store. I bought a rare earth magnet for like $4, and that would work. It's not quite as long as this one. So the nice thing about this one is the shape really lends itself nicely to the funnel.
Yes, so they're compatible with each other shape-wise.
Highly complementary.
You know, at home I'm always looking for a funnel because we have like one funnel and I always put it someplace weird and lose it. And I don't have very many of these types of bottles, but I could totally make a good funnel from one of these. I like this idea a lot.
Well, you can have one of the ones that I
Good,
got.
I want it. Oh yeah, maybe we could turn around and show the camera again. We definitely have more iron shavings now.
And let's see. Oh, our cameraman is taking a break.
Okay. We're just going to stand here until somebody zooms on this funnel. There we go.
While someone zooms on the funnel.
It's 3.
While someone zooms
There
on
we
the
go.
funnel.
Thank you, funnel zoomer.
I wanted to give a shout out to some of my students who said they
Yes.
might watch today.
Yep.
Because
so
I was
if
recommending.
You see these tracks in here. If you see this thick part, I think I could push it a little bit and see. Oh yeah. So you can see it. I can even move it with my finger. Those are
Right,
definitely
let me see
wet
if I
iron
can. Oh, there
shavings.
we go. If we catch the
Yeah.
light just right.
Yep. So you can see those black, almost a rubbery looking tracks right there. So that's iron in your cereal that you eat. Look at that. Amazing.
And that's about how much you would need if you needed to eat a 2,000 calorie diet.
yeah.
So shout out to some students. So one of the things I've been telling my students is they could watch some of these shows to get a procedure that they might have to develop a little bit more to get a science fair question.
Uh-huh. But of course you all have a science fair teacher right here that can help you develop your question.
Right. So
Yes.
these are short shows, but this would be an example of a project that you could easily develop a question and do this extraction with some pretty inexpensive materials that you may already own.
Yes.
So I always think that's kind of nice.
Yes, absolutely.
So you could do a cereal comparison. And we're not interested in the brand of the cereal. In science fair, we're not interested in comparing
right.
brands.
So science fair, I think where all the really good stuff is this nutritional label right here, right?
Right, and the accuracy in labeling.
Yes. Oh, and so are we really? So then maybe we could Google up how many grams of iron you really need in a day, and then you could see it. So this thing says that iron is 18 milligrams. So if we can measure that delicately enough, the question is, are there 18 milligrams of iron in the funnel right now?
Yeah, and a really sensitive balance would be needed to measure this amount. However, you could just extract a larger volume.
Sure, maybe you could do 4 cups or a whole box or whatever, and then because then you'd know how many servings per container.
And
so then there'd be math to do.
I was going to say you'd have to do a lot of math to
Yeah.
scale it up.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. That's definitely part of science. And maybe this particular cereal you might have around during the holidays.
Oh, yeah. My kids have noticed that there's all kinds of crazy holiday cereals on the market right now. And my 17-year-old likes to buy one super crazy box of cereal like every month and see what's in it. And they're all pretty much the same, but that's his thing right now, is buying crazy cereal.
Yeah, so these are food additives that are added in to make sure that we're getting our daily allowance of things. So, and I think I said I was low on iron, so I started reading the labels and started noticing which of the foods in my house have like very little iron. It's probably the naturally occurring iron in the food, and which ones are high in iron, like this one's very high.
Yeah.
So if you know you need something, that's a good place to check.
Yeah. Now, how do we get the iron? Have we poured enough I'm excited about how much iron we have. How do we get it off the magnet?
So what I did was so the next couple of steps
Oh, yeah, let me get out of the way and we'll take a look at the slides
in
here.
the procedure
Yeah.
are just, so when you're done running the cereal slurry, you can rinse the bottle, and that will just remove the cereal, because you probably don't want that, especially if you want to save your iron for some reason, to put it on a display or to take a picture. It definitely looks better without the
So we'll clean it.
cereal, and it won't decay or anything.
Uh-huh.
And then, the iron won't decay, but you don't want the cereal getting funky. And then, so we can carefully remove the magnet from the bottle. And then what I suggest is that you leave the bottle to air dry.
Uh-huh.
In a place that it won't be disturbed. So you don't want it rolling around too much, especially once you have the magnet off. But what I found was that the iron's heavy enough, it really didn't move too much.
Okay.
And I think I got impatient and took it out before it was really dry. But what I would do is maybe rinse it one more time, like a really gentle rinse, just to get the cereal off.
Sure. And now we're done with the cereal, unless you have a pet that would like it.
One of my pets is on a diet.
When I was a kid, we had pigs, and the pigs got all of the house scraps. It was really fun to go feed them.
So shout out to Haven. She said she might watch. And shout out to Trinity. She wanted to watch too.
Hi, Haven. Hi, Trinity.
But
Hi,
Trinity
Mac
made a
kids.
special request that I said at the beginning of the show in case she wanted to watch something else.
Oh, okay. She might be off into something with,
She might not be with us anymore.
Yeah.
And so just like carefully remove the magnet. And I put a lot more duct tape on mine when I did this.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's okay. Because the iron's pretty.
I'm very interested in what happens when you take the magnet off.
See, that's actually quite a lot.
the iron just stays stuck to the, well, because right now it's wet.
It's wet. So we have like some surface tension happening.
Yeah.
But
that's very cool. So you can see those are 2 stripes of wet iron stuck to the inside where the magnet used to be.
And they are kind of pouring a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we better turn it over so gravity will hold them in place.
What I would do, and what I did to collect this, was I literally just let it sit on a counter where no one would accidentally tip it or anything, and just let it kind of drip dry.
Yep.
And then you could collect the iron. I put it in this little container, but again, you could just put it in a plastic bag. You could put it between 2 pieces of plastic.
Oh, right. And lots of times there's like little funny containers around in your house that you could do it with too, huh? All right. All right, so we can see it. Yep. And then the nice thing about this is that you can really see what you got, and then you can also see what the shape of the magnet was. And so if you had a different shaped magnet, you get a different traces on the inside.
And let me see if I can get rid of the glare there.
Yeah. I always say for
And
teachers,
it's
we like the only
moving
glare in the
around with
room
the
to be
water.
ours.
Great.
Yeah.
Rise
Oh,
and
yeah.
sparkle, everyone.
There we go. Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
if you wanted, you could analyze your data. So if you're comparing cereals to see if the daily value was accurate, you could do a scatter plot. And what you'd want to do is make a scale of the percent daily value of iron on the Y, and then make a scale on the X of the iron pellet size and do an approximation. Because this amount, I think like most kitchen scales won't go to that small.
Right.
So you could scale up the quantity to try to get a measurable amount of iron, or you could say, this isn't ideal in science, but especially 7th grade, it's okay. You could say like, you could make some value, like 4 was a lot, 3 was medium, or however you want to do
And
that.
especially if you could put it like on a square of white paper and see like if how much of a square inch it would cover.
Right.
Maybe you could do it like that and just put it on paper. Yeah.
And
Very nice.
our iron is kind of flowing around with the water, so it's moving around a little bit, but
Got it.
you can
Very
see in
nice.
there. And the other thing is you could probably just use a magnet to sort of drag it to the edge and then scrape it off with your fingers. Since we don't need this,
Oh, you
could
can
just,
move around the magnet. Oh, it's moving. That is so
it's
cool.
moving. And it's taking the water with it, which is
That's
kind of
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. If you hold it straight up and down, I wonder if we could see it better. So see how it just drag the magnet on maybe on the inside so people can see it go. Oh, it can't because it'll stick. Never mind.
So the thing about the magnet on the outside of the bottle is it won't actually stick to the surface of your magnet.
Right.
So on Thursday, there won't be Homework Hotline because it's Veterans Day. So in honor of all of our veterans, thank you very much for your service.
And tune in next week.